Hi, my name's Jude Shepherd and I'm a barrister and I'm also a part-time judge. I specialise in employment law, which means that I represent people who have disputes about things that have happened in their workplace, such as someone being sacked from their job or experiencing discrimination. I didn't have any great ambitions to be a lawyer when I was at school. There weren't any lawyers in my family, so I didn't really know any lawyers. In fact, I'm not even really sure that I knew what a lawyer was until maybe later on at secondary school. I remember when I was at primary school saying that I either wanted to be a nurse or an artist. I discovered that I didn't really have the flair or the talent to be an artist, and I probably didn't really have the patience to be a nurse, so I needed to find something else to do. When I was at school, I did some work experiences riding at a local riding stables, and although I would absolutely have loved to have found a job working with horses, after spending a week doing it full time as a job from morning till night, I discovered it was very hard work. It was cold and rained a lot. You were always outdoors. It was really hard. So I soon came to the view that it was probably better to get myself a different job, probably one that was indoors. But I then got the opportunity to do a second lot of work experience at a solicitor's firm in Gorton near Manchester, which is where I grew up. And that firm specialised in criminal law. So I spent a couple of weeks there. I found it really, really interesting and quite exciting. It sort of felt a little bit dangerous to be meeting people that had committed crimes as a teenager. That was really quite exciting. I really enjoyed learning and I loved my time at primary school. It was a fabulous little school and I really enjoyed it. But if I'm honest, I didn't like secondary school very much. I went to an inner city school in Manchester. I had a lot of friends who thought that it wasn't really very cool to be into learning like I was. So there were a lot of distractions, and sometimes I perhaps didn't work as hard as a result as I should have done. I did find it a bit easier when my parents moved slightly out of Manchester and I had to go to a new school, which was hard, but actually was I found a bit easier at that school. But I still found the social side of school a little bit difficult, and I did experience some bullying at school, which was really hard. But I think I actually learned some valuable lessons from learning to deal with the bullies, and I think that's how I probably developed a strong sense of injustice, which eventually probably led me to a career in law. When I was at school, there wasn't a great deal of focus on mental health and looking after sort of welfare and making sure that people didn't get bullied. I'm very pleased to see now that schools are much hotter about that. I didn't get much encouragement from my careers advisor at school, who said that she didn't think that somebody like me would be able to be a lawyer or a barrister, but I've always been quite determined. So when I set my mind to something, I generally try and set out to achieve it, and so I wasn't going to let that stop me. In terms of inspiration, I've very much looked up to my dad, who hadn't been given the same opportunities as me in life. He was keen for me to get a good education and do the things that he'd not been able to do. He was a very, very clever man, but he came from quite a poor family. And so there was never any possibility of him being able to go to university, although he did later do a degree at the Open University when me and my sisters were still small children. That inspired me to want to work hard and to do well and to make him proud. I've also been very inspired by the life and work of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who was the American Supreme Court Justice who sadly recently passed away. She was a fantastic lawyer who succeeded in the face of adversity and worked really hard to fight against discrimination and to champion equality. After I left school, I went to college to do A-levels. I was always quite an argumentative teenager, and I realised that I was quite good at winning arguments too. So that got me thinking that a university degree in law might be a good idea. And then when I'd finished college, I went straight to university. And then after university, I went straight to bar school in London to study to be a barrister. You had to do a year's course there before you did your pupillage. After I left bar school, I couldn't get a pupillage. It was very competitive then. It's even more competitive now, unfortunately. That's the final bit of training that a barrister has to do before they can appear in court. So instead, I did lots of different jobs to pay the rent and also to get myself some more experience. I worked as a clerk in the Magistrates Court, and I also worked for a criminal solicitor as a clerk in London. I had to visit clients in prison. Again, I found that really exciting and so interesting, meeting lots of different people from different walks of life. I have quite a lot of hobbies, but my one true passion still is horses. Even though I was put off the idea of working with them full time, I still love them, and it's the thing that I love to do the most. And I'm lucky enough now to have achieved my ambition of owning my own horse, Kerry, and also my daughter has a very cute little pony that we all love very much, whose name is Rainbow. So my job can be very busy. It's quite stressful at times, so it's really lovely to be able to go out into the countryside, spend time with the horses and go out riding when I get the chance to. The best part of my job, I would say, is that every single day is completely different and a real challenge. I meet some really interesting people. I deal with some very interesting cases. And I still enjoy a good argument, as my husband will testify. I do sometimes have to work very long hours, but I don't mind because the work's very interesting. And I have recently become a part-time judge, so it's going to be very interesting. People often ask me about my wig and gown, so this is my wig. I don't wear it very often because I do most of my work in the employment tribunals, so you're not actually required to wear I've got a black robe as well and this wig, but I enjoy dusting off my wig sometimes and putting it on when I have to go to maybe the High Court or to the Court of Appeal, where we do still wear robes. My advice to anyone wanting to be a barrister is to go for it. Don't give up. It involves a lot of hard work and it's very competitive, so it's difficult to break into. It took me a long time to get pupillage and to get to where I was. I had to sort of go around the houses a little bit and get other experience to do it because I didn't have any connections to sort of give me a leg up. But if you're really passionate about doing it, which I was, you can do it, even if, like me, you don't have lawyers in your family or don't know any lawyers. And you do need to enjoy a good debate or a good argument and be prepared to work hard and stick at it. If you do, you'll be rewarded with what is a really, really interesting job. I can guarantee you'll never be bored. I hope that some of you do decide to think about a career as a lawyer, because what's really important is that we encourage people from all walks of life and backgrounds to become lawyers and then become the judges who are deciding the cases. And so I hope to see some of you in court one day. Thanks for listening.